Our Outstanding Alumni Award is presented to the alum who's achieved singular accomplishments in their fields. Their successful careers are role models for our students and whose accomplishments or achievements set us an example for the alum of the School of Engineering Education. So, Frissora is such an alumnus. Enrolled in Purdue, knowing he wanted to practice medicine, and found Purdue is offering the best program in biomedical engineering within the interdisciplinary engineering program, as it was at that time. During his undergraduate career, he served as a teaching assistant in a biology class, more about that in a moment, and wrote a daily cartoon for Purdue Exponent, which you should have seen on your tables. The founding director of the IDE program, Dick Grace, who can't be here because he has this strange idea of spending this time of year in Florida, can't be here, but he remembers Hank well, and particularly the cartoon. So he says, in a quote, "There's a favourite student and did a cartoon called Red Bricks." In fact, there's a book of the Red Bricks. It's actually a book. You can look it up on the web, but you can't find a copy. Wave that around. There's the actual book. There.
There's what he looked like when he was young.
So this was done for the Exponent. And continuing the quote from Dick Grace, Hank was fairly irreverent as a cartoonist, but he always was on target. I'm sure he had a superb career as a surgeon, so he does remember you being at Boston and a few other things, etc. So, in true interdisciplinary fashion, Hank cites the social impact of biology class that he took with Al Chisholm, who is, I'm pleased to say, is with us this evening. As having a profound effect on him, in highlighting the importance of scientific awareness necessary to be a good citizen and a practitioner. So this is I think it fits very much with the spirit of engineering education in terms that we tend to look at things in their context, in their social dimension, not just as a dry piece of science. From Purdue, Hank enrolled in Harvard Medical School and after graduation pursued surgical training in Boston and then in London. The focus of his studies in London was on breast cancer research, working in the clinic and the operating room. Somewhat ironically, years later, Hank's mother-in-law, sister-in-law and wife Audrey would all be diagnosed with the same disease. It was during his wife's chemotherapy that Hank again turned his creative side of the cartooning to penning a thing called Pink Chronicles, a series of updates for families and friends of Audrey's experience and his experience as a patient and a personal caregiver, not as doctor, so that kind of full circle of experience. Throughout his career, Hank has mentored many students, trained surgeons, developed new medical procedures and products, working with industry, has continued his own training as technology has advanced. As he was telling the students today, it's just a continuous learning process. Whatever you learn, you're just going to keep on relearning it. The story, the mantra we tell, that maybe coming from you today meant more than coming from the likes of us. After the devastating and deadly 2010 earthquake in Haiti, Hank, who's an outdoor sort of person, and colleagues signed up for a disaster relief effort and went there and turned their surgical and medical talent and gifts to that. It's a sign of the sort of humanitarian that he is. Thus, his career has been about helping patients, helping current and future doctors, and helping the profession, which we think is a very interdisciplinary engineering thing to do. And so, the School of Engineering Education is proud to present the Outstanding Alumni Award to Dr. Henry A. Hank Frissora. So will join me in applauding. Put that wherever it's convenient. Hank assures me he's turned the 3 hour down to 90 minutes? No, we're down to 40. Oh, no.
Well, thank you.
Feel free.
Thank you very much, everybody. Check, please. Is that good? It's about as fast as I could go. Well, anyway, thank you all. This is just an incredible honor. I do have to look at my little cheat sheet here, which is now an iPad, which I used, by the way, for a eulogy in a church for an aunt, and I was scolded by the priest for doing that. He said nobody's ever used an iPad for a remembrance before. So anyway, thank you, Professor Radcliffe, Professor Pillot, to Becky Fry, to Mike Loizzo, and also to Julie in the office. You've all been so kind. It's been really a great invitation, impeccable arrangements, and I can't be more honored. I also have to really thank Dr. Grace, who unfortunately is not here, going back to my early days at Purdue and how he kind of really welcomed me into the school and how he was able to kind of watch me through the entire process, give great guidance and tutelage, and how helped me fashion a program that really got me a long way. And again, I have to say congratulations to the School of Interdisciplinary Engineering for spawning these programs, and to think that biomedical engineering has its own school, environmental engineering has its own school. These were programs that were really pretty much molded by the interdisciplinary program. You probably don't get the recognition for it either, as this great incubator function. And I'd also have to say congratulations to our celebrated students tonight. I really felt great for you standing up there. I also noticed that theme of the acoustic and entertainment engineering. And I think you have to watch out, Professor Radcliffe, because this is probably going to spawn a new school of acoustic and entertaining engineering, and you're going to lose that whole faction. It's really a shame that you're going to lose them as well. So I have to say, this is really... again, this is a huge honor, and I don't know really how I deserve it. I mean, it's not like a surgeon to be humble, but I am totally humbled by this. In fact, if you ask, how does a surgeon commit suicide? Anybody know? They jump off of their ego onto their IQ. It's sort of the corollary to that is, if you ask any surgeon who the three greatest surgeons are in the world, they have a really hard time coming up with the other two. So anyway, listen, I'll try to come up with some engineering jokes as we go along, just to mix it up a bit. But I can tell an engineering joke because, after all, I have a degree in engineering. I can do that. So, okay, you want one right now? Okay. What does an engineer use for birth control? Their personality. Sorry, you asked for it. It wasn't my idea. So anyway, there are a lot of people to thank as well. I'd say that the richness of my experience at Purdue wasn't just from the great teaching, the research opportunities, classes that I attended, but it was from stepping out of the classroom, looking at every corner of the university. And again, it was already mentioned, but Al Chiskin and Martha, I mean, they were fantastic examples of teaching. And I had the great honor of having done my pre-medical biology to be asked by Dr. Chiskin to be a TA in his class, where he paired up science majors or science, technology, engineering majors or whatever with humanity majors. So here we actually had, of all things, daily intercourse with humanity majors. Can you imagine? And being an engineering student and actually, communicating with these people. And then we had these breakout sessions from the lectures. The entire concept of the class of social impact and biology really goes to the heart of what engineering education is looking at now, and the entire revamping of the freshman engineering program is saying, how does this stuff really, all this really dry, cold science, how does it really relate to the human condition and our society and how we proceed forward? And it was just such an eye-opener in terms of how could you put all of freshman pre-med biology into a course designed for poets. And honestly, that was just a fantastic inspiration. And I think, again, in the theme of what we're all doing right now. Also, Dr. Charlie Babbs, another person that I must mention, he's also a doctor. He came up with a group from Baylor, Dr. Geddes and Hacker and Borland and Babbs, They were part of a biomedical engineering center that came here just before I got here. There was no school for them, but they did have their space in their research center. And Charlie was just a fabulous inspiration. He taught a physiology class. He taught us how the human body is just a very complicated machine that doesn't follow all the rules, but there are plenty of engineering principles. And then to follow throughout my career into biomedical engineering classes and research in the laboratory became a great mentor. Which brings up a subject of mentorship, and I'm sorry for those of you that have been at the faculty lunch or the student events today, but I'll keep going about that, and give me the cut when I'm spending too much time here. But I like to think of mentorship as a two-way street, and this is really meant for both the students and the faculty here. Mentorship isn't just about sort of saying this is what I do, and this is what you should do in your career, and this is the great field of engineering I'm studying and I'm doing research in. It's really about demonstrating your entire lifestyle. And once you have that degree and once you're accomplishing, how do you run your life? How do you run your family? How do you look after your kids? How do you grab for a sense of adventure? How do you incorporate the beauties of life, of arts, and of fine foods and wines? How do you incorporate sports and other intellectual pursuits? And so as the mentor, I think that that's a very important thing to share and lay open. As the mentee, if you want to call it that, you have a great privilege. You're going to somebody looking for advice. Give something back there. People that are in the university setting are there to give back to begin with. They're there for a certain satisfaction in their career. Education's a huge part of their career. There's nothing like having an interested student, somebody that actually shows passion, that's something that recharges them for their, for all their hard work. And this is a great distraction. You have a lot of fresh ideas. You have a lot of things to inspire your teachers, and that's how it keeps going. And you're going to be a mentor someday, and you're going to remember those mentors that you had, and you'll always reflect on them. And it's funny. I looked at even Dr. Chiskin's the comic book that I gave him on the way out, and I read some of the words I wrote, and I said, I'm sure I'll be remembering you many years down the road. And not any time that goes by when I'm teaching that I don't think about that sort of example. So again, mentorship is two ways, and really take advantage of it. And I think as a faculty, always look out for your students. That to make that connection, it can have a world of difference in terms of their career. You've heard a lot about the exponent, but I think it exemplifies something that's very important in your training. Do well at school. Get good grades. Grab the parchment. You have to do your boards for certain, for certain graduate schools or whatever. But that's only a small part of it. Show excellence in something else. Look outside of your actual, set career path. It doesn't have to be the Purdue Exponent, but I think there are other publications. There's band, there is sport. There are so many things going on in this unbelievable community at Purdue. Just do something that's nothing to do with engineering, because it will show other people that you can multitask, that you can show excellence in things, that you can use your power to learn and to create outside of that career that you're really destined for. So again, I can't say enough about how that should be an important part of your entire curriculum vitae in moving forward. It also becomes an example of, while you're young and energetic, you have to learn how to do that multitasking. It's easy to slip into, boy, I got exams, I got projects, I've got homework, there's no way I can do that stuff. Well, you can do it. And I define it as a very important engineering concept about energy banks. I think that you have one energy bank to do that hard work in your career, in your path, in your student life, etc. There's another whole energy bank that you have available for you. One, you're totally exhausted from everything else, to have a great time. And when you do it, you never sit there saying, geez, I'm even more exhausted now. You say, wow, I'm recharged, I'm ready to go again. And that becomes a very important example for life. Unfortunately, my wife has seen that, and I exhaust her from that old thing. But it is I think, an important lesson as well that you can take out of your time in school right now. So, again, you've heard it over and over. It's not right now what you're learning, but how to learn. You're going to use about 5% of what you're learning right now in your actual careers. You're going to be coming on to much more exciting and important things, and you're only going to be using these processes to come up with your own discoveries and your own way of doing things. I have to throw in a bit about philanthropy about giving back, and it comes from being a mentor. It comes from maybe doing some global outreach, doing something in your community, spending that extra time, part of that other energy bank to kind of give back and become engaged. And that again, I cannot stress enough. And finally, I think that there's another part that we don't talk about in college or medical school in your career, and that's the importance of relationships, about your spouse, your future spouse, and about your family, and that entire part of your life. Audrey and I had two very strong-headed careers in academics. We were really destined to go into very highfalutin, research and teaching and clinical practice jobs. Audrey became accidentally pregnant, which is kind of unbelievable after I had done social impact biology with Dr. Chisholm, learned all about birth control and had that we knew better than that, but we had a baby coming, and both realized that if we went on full guns the way we're supposed to go, that we'd probably miss out on a whole lot about seeing our kids grow up and seeing, and being together as a couple. And that was because all our great kind of mentors in the medical world there were, they didn't even know their third wife very well, and they couldn't tell you the sex of their children. So it was a very real thing that we said, if we kind of change our whole way of doing it, then, maybe we can sort of have it all. I think Professor Martha Chisholm told me, well, you can never really have it all, but, you can come close to it. You can make, if you want to call it compromises, you can set your life so that you can enjoy much more than the success of your career and the accolades that go with that. So, I do have to thank and toast my wife, Audrey, who's been my great lover and companion, colleague and friend, and just a superb mother of our children, the yin to my yang. And, I guess the Kings put it, I'll be your Tarzan, you be my Jane. I'll keep you warm and you keep me sane. But to make those compromises, if you want to call them in life, or to make that a priority, and then to see the relationship we have with our children now and see them prosper, that is probably the biggest accomplishment that I can boast right now. So anyway, I again, thank you. I thank you a million for this award and this honor and this chance to chat for too long. But again, good luck to you in your future. And great congratulations to the new School of Engineering Education and carrying on the great tradition of interdisciplinary engineering. Thanks.